Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another single song reaction and another Nightwish video. Hello, Nightwish Army. Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're still here and you don't hate us too much from the first few reactions we've done. The reason we're doing these videos is to kind of build up to this video might not get posted until after, but we'll see what ends up happening with my editing. But the plan is to do some reactions. You go check on your dogs, Cody. The plan is to do some Nightwish reactions leading up to the new Nightwish album, Yesterwind. And when that comes out, the day it comes out, we're planning to do Chris and I are Chris is the one down there. We're planning to do a reaction that day to that album, listening to it in full for the very first time the day it comes out. And I'm going to try to edit that video as fast as I can and get it posted early the following week. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you guys, maybe think about subscribing to the channel and following and stuff, just at least until that point, if that's what you want to hear. And if you like the channel, stick around. We got lots of good stuff here, including lots of Metallica videos and a few other Nightwish things that I've done in the past, including Listen to Angels Fall First, the very first Nightwish album for the very first time here on the channel. So that was a very fun video to do that only has like 300 views on it, but I don't think anyone cares about Nightwish's first album. So this will be our third reaction to Nightwish. The first video we did was Ghost Love Score. Of course, you have to start there. And then we just got done listening to I Want My Tears Back from the Buenos Aires show, the Decades tour. And this will be the first time that I think, other than I'm a huge Nightwish fan, if you're just joining us for this video, which maybe you are because Phantom of the Opera, one of the most popular videos of Nightwish is to watch reactions to. But I'm a huge Nightwish fan, been a fan forever. And I'm having a lot of fun showing some of my friends Nightwish for the first time. Audrey, this is her first time hearing any symphonic metal at all, and I think we're slowly maybe winning her over a little bit, but we'll see. I think this is a song that she can maybe relate to a little bit more, because I'm sure you've heard the original version, right, Audrey?
Yes, yeah. I come from theater, folks.
Yes, so you will definitely agree with me that this is definitely the definitive version and much better than anything Andrew Lloyd Webber ever envisioned, and definitely better than Sarah Brightman ever thought about ever performing this song.
You have said scandalous things, sir.
Who is Sarah Brightman?
Who is Sarah? She's the person that performed and played the female role in Phantom of the Opera. Ah. And also, she has a wonderful music career doing this exact type of music without any metal in it. So she is a huge influence on Thomas's, and Nightwish is also a huge influence on her solo career and why she started to incorporate a little bit more heavy rock in some of her songs as her career has gone on. She still releases great albums, though. I actually really enjoy Sarah Brightman. Cody doesn't know very much about Nightwish, but this is his first time experiencing a lot of these songs, probably all of them. We're going to be watching a live version here, and Chris, this will be his first time watching this live one, and I don't know if you've ever heard this version by Nightwish, have you?
No.
Awesome. Very excited about this.
I like that.
If we do continue to do more Nightwish videos, when we get to the day where we're just doing fun, kind of goofy stuff, I have a very special treat for us that we would be reacting to one of my favorite videos on the internet, and that is Floor. In 2019, Floor was on a Dutch. Floor is actually Dutch. She is from the Netherlands, and she speaks many different languages, as most people kind of in that area of Europe do. You kind of have to speak a couple different languages as the country's kind of surrounding you, so you can maneuver around. But she speaks many different languages, including English, very well. But she is natively Dutch, and she was on a Dutch TV competition for singers, and it's called Beste Zangers, which translates to Best Singers. We will watch that in the future. But I just spent 20 minutes explaining that, a video we're not going to watch in this video. But I wanted you guys to be excited for if we ever decide to do that. And if you're just like, skip all that other mumbo jumbo and just get to that, then we'll do that at some point. But that is fantastic. So what we're going to be watching here, though, this is going to be your first time seeing the very first Nightwish singer. This is Tarja Turunen, and this is from their 2005 DVD, which I have on a shelf over there. I didn't bring it over here because I'm ill-prepared, called End of an Era. And the reason it's called that is because after this show is over, this is a taste of the drama that we'll explain in a future video if you guys want to keep doing more. After this show was over, they went off stage after doing their encore. They went back to the dressing rooms, and the members of the band presented Tarja with a letter telling her that she was no longer going to be a part of the band.
Oh my.
Yes, and she put that letter online, and she wrote them a letter in response, which they posted online, and it created this whole drama thing. So what we're going to be watching here is Tarja's final performance with Nightwish that was recorded for a live DVD. And Chris, I have mentioned this DVD to you in the past because I have said this is a perfect example of how you do not edit a live performance because there is goofy transitions. They cut every 5 seconds. There's a camera cut. It's absolutely terrible. So try not to let the terrible video editing distract you in this. There's fades. It's awful.
They didn't know what to do in 2005?
I think that I don't know what happened, but it's terrible. So we are going to be watching.
It's just our American sensibilities that aren't ready for editing like that.
I don't think so. I think this is just, they gave it to someone, and then when they got it back, they were like, this is what we paid you for? This?
There's someone's senior project.
Well, were they really excited about even releasing this if it was, they kicked her out of the band?
They were. It was, they had it all set up beforehand, before they knew they were going to kick her out of the band. This was all planned. They were contractually obligated to do it. They had a fantastic show, and it's awesome. This is when they were touring with the album that the first song we heard, Ghost Love Score. This is when they were touring with that album with Once.
Hey, there's that again.
And so this is one of my, I broke all of those. This is one of
Cancel the show. Shut it all down.
That's one of my most prized vinyls that I own because
Did you get that back in 2011?
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that they re-released this since then, but this is an original 2011 pressing. So, and I managed to get it online for pretty cheap. I think I actually paid $30 for that. It's probably the most expensive record I've ever bought, but it's one of my favorite albums of all time. And since then, they've actually re-released. When they re-released the vinyl, they released a special vinyl edition that has no vocals in it. It's just the instrumental versions, which most Nightwish albums you can buy the deluxe edition, which is what I have for all of these, most of their albums, where it comes with 2 discs, the regular edition of the album, and then what they call the orchestral version, which is basically just instrumental. So I have instrumental versions, which maybe Chris, you would actually enjoy more because there's no there's no vocals over it. It's just the
I don't mind the vocals at all.
I know
really
you don't. I'm not saying you did, but
wouldn't I have to?
I don't know, but I think that Chris Schoenberg would definitely enjoy the instrumental versions more because you could probably hear the guitars a little bit better in those, and that's all he seems to care about is the guitar. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a listen. I'm really anxious to see what you guys think of this. It's a little different, but you know the song. Epic, amazing song. Let's get into it. Okay, Nightwish, Phantom of the Opera from 2005 End of an Era DVD. The official video off their channel. This has 60 million views. This is up-resed in HD, I believe, as well. In 3, 2, 1.
That's how he plays his keyboard. Who's that drummer guy? He doesn't fit in. Whoa. The editing.
Whoa.
Look at him go.
This is terrible.
Don't let it distract you from the song.
Okay.
I am distracted.
This whole thing, Phantom of the Opera, is considerably younger than I thought it was.
I know, right? I was shocked when I found out when it came out, yes. I agree 1,000%. Because it was based off of a book and an old movie from the 30s. But the actual music and the theater thing didn't happen until like the 90s,
Oh, the
right?
movie was first?
Yeah, the original 1930s movie, yeah.
Listen to that bass tone.
He did the mask.
Dude, yeah, Marco is so great.
I like him when he's older looking. Although I like the braid and beard.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Those drums are huge.
But, you know, she's good. I don't know that her voice strikes me as much as...
Yeah.
Kill it.
Yeah, it's not as unique and solid.
Right. It's good. I mean, I think if I heard this first, I'd be like, yeah, she's amazing. So I get why people were okay with Flora coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
What's that guy's name?
Marco, Italia.
I'm a Marco fan.
Slow-mo!
I like Floor better.
Yeah?
Yeah, considerably. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's this putz?
That guy in the picture. It's like if Dom DeLuise and Gene Shalit got smashed into each other. He's got a secret he'll never tell.
Okay, so...
That was fun. I like that.
Now, don't you agree that that song is meant to be a metal song? I mean, come on, how much better was that than the version in the soundtrack? Like, what a badass song. You know,
sure.
it definitely makes sense and works.
The organ is such a good thing for that song, though.
Yes, yep. And Cody, who was it? Oh, that was you, you, Chris, and we were talking about Deep Purple and songs that feature organ, right? Mm-hmm. And how it always feels kind of churchy, depending on what the organ's doing, or it feels like a Rhodes organ or something. And, like that makes it kind of like a 70s rock song or something. And this is a good example of something that's kind of transcended that feeling to be just like, it's such an iconic dun 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 dun. It's such iconic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's not the kind of music you'd ever hear on an organ. Like, I think that's one of the most important things about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, it's that's just like one of those things. Like, there's certain things that just kind of like, there's certain classical pieces that for whatever reason just kind of like make it beyond like that, just like everybody knows them, whether it was in a Looney Tunes cartoon or something that just pushes the, like, you know, but like just so many things like that. But so you guys all think that Floor is better at live performance, at least?
I think so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She brings a lot more levity,
Character,
I think, in character.
Yes.
Yeah.
This woman seems kind of like a banshee.
A siren,
Not in the way that
siren.
she's like an awful person in any capacity, but just
Right.
she's got the look of like if you were to design some sort of woman who haunts the theater.
Right.
That's what she looks like.
Right.
Maybe.
So I will say throughout this show that I don't think this necessarily would change your opinion or anything, but she has 3 outfit changes throughout the show, and so each time she has a microphone with a color
I
that
was
like,
gonna ask
matches her outfit.
That's funny.
So she goes from the yellow. And then she goes to the back eventually when there's like they do a song that's a more metal song where she's not in it as much. And then she comes back out and they change the mic stand, I believe, to a black one. Or it might stay with the yellow one for a while, and she takes off her coat and stuff, and then she has kind of more like what Floor was wearing, that's a little bit more gothic-y type of outfit, that's mostly black with some yellow on it. And then later on in the show, they do this thing where she kind of walks up those stairs in the background, and she has this white dress on that just like flows down the stairs, and it's like very epic. And she stands up there and sings a slower song. And for Tarja, she always sings like that. So like she always sings operatic style vocals. The earlier back you go in Nightwish's career, the faster they go. So they definitely are more power metal at the beginning of their career. They have like keyboard solos, Chris. They have all sorts of like, it's very fast. It's like thrash metal, kind of like early Metallica type stuff. And one of Metallica's biggest songs is actually called Wishmaster. And it is clearly inspired by Master of Puppets. Like it's Master, Apprentice, Hardcore, Seven Seeker, like it's awesome.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's very Master of Puppetsy. And then the riff is like it's very Master of Puppets. But then there's like strings and stuff in it, and it was all stuff that Thomas played. And so when they do those songs live, all the musicians have to just like stand there and like look at their instrument and just like play a really complicated. And Thomas is like going, like this the whole time on his keyboard, and it's like really they have to concentrate so hard, which is great, and they can still do that, and that's how they did a lot of their shows for many years. And then they kind of started to do more long drawn out stuff, and that was kind of what I meant earlier with less like Bach and like Rachmaninoff and stuff. That was definitely inspirations for Thomas. Which Rachmaninoff is known for being some of the most complex piano playing you could ever play. And
it wasn't a rock. It was a rock. Manaha. What is it?
Rachmaninoff.
Yeah, it's a Rock Lobster parody.
Yeah, Rock
with
Lobster.
Rachmaninoff.
What was the band you said?
What? I don't even know.
Rock Lobster.
You
The
don't know the
B-52s. The B-52s, man.
You're talking about
The Rock Lobster.
You don't know
Rock Lobster?
B-52s? Love Shack?
I've heard of the B-52s, but I don't.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right. No,
Well, I wouldn't call that an interruption. That's his fault for not knowing Rock
no,
Lobster.
you're right. That's just a reference I didn't get.
I thought it would just be a chuckle all around, and then we kept going.
No. Instead, you just really confused me because you're talking about lobsters and stuff, and I'm like, I couldn't tell if you were actually asking a question or if the question was part of the bit. I didn't know.
Look, crustaceans are no laughing matter, Patrick.
That's right.
Under the sea, that's the crustacean.
The only
I
one
know.
he knows. Yep.
Anyway, so whatever, I forgot what I was talking about, but basically,
That's all, folks.
basically
Good night, everybody.
earlier on in their career, they did faster stuff, and she was very operatic all the time. And then when they got to the album Once, which is the album I've been showing you the vinyl that I own because it's so freaking awesome, that's the first time where she kind of like started to be a little bit more playful with her vocals, and it's not necessarily pop vocals, but it is definitely like you can understand what she's saying a little bit easier, and it feels less imposing, if that makes sense. I don't want to say accessible, but I do think it's more accessible, but it's more like inviting rather than imposing. And then after she left the band and Annette joined, and Annette is much more of a pop singer, Annette's 2 albums are very just like pop vocals the whole time, and I love those albums to death. And then when Floor joined, she can do both of those things. So Floor does the pop vocals, and she also can do opera, but she can also do like distorted metal growl vocal stuff, which we probably won't listen to because that would really make Audrey run for the hills. But which, by the way, Nightwish very famously does a cover of "Over the Hills and Far Away." That's a Nightwish song, and they also do a very famous cover of one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time, "Walking in the Air." Have you guys ever heard of that song? It's a
yeah.
We're walking in the air.
Yeah.
We're floating on a midnight dream. The people down below.
Yeah, that's a good
There
one.
was like an animation with a snowman.
It's about the snow.
snowman,
It's called the Snowman. Yes, that is a very famous. Like that is like England's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, is it?
To us, yeah, it's very famous. They have it every year. They show it multiple times.
Such a cool one.
Yes, they do get way better than Rudolph. And
They probably
Frosty.
watch Rudolph and they're like, "What is wrong? with
What the hell is this? What's with this?
Age well.
What's with the abominable
It doesn't age
snowman?
well.
What's with the abominable
Snowman
snowman and the
Right,
Cornelius,
what's with the
Yukon
Yeti?
Cornelius?
Oh, come on. That guy has a cool beard.
I agree. I like Yukon, and I'm a big fan of Yetis and snowmen, whatever's. But
Just in
Yeah,
general."
you're one of the last living Rankin Bass stands that I know.
Rankin Bass is great. So, but anyway, yeah, they do a famous cover of "Walking in the Air."
Oh, that'd be fun.
It's very cool. If we're still doing this around Christmas,
Yeah,
we
if we're
can
doing
react to
it,
that
yeah,
one.
sure.
But they do all sorts of fun stuff. But they got a little bit more fun later on in their career, and then now on their albums with Floor, I feel like they're trying to be a little bit less catchy and more like impressive with their technical stuff. So like Floor does like very difficult vocal things that are like really complex, and she has control over some of the lyrics and her vocal parts. Like Thomas is letting her write a lot of the stuff, and so she does this like overly complex stuff that doesn't appeal to me at all because I'm not. I just want something I can sing along to at the end of the day, really. Even though that makes me sound like
Someone who likes music.
someone who likes enjoyable music, at least. But
I will always be 10 times more impressed by vocal performances live, though.
exactly.
Well, of course.
And it's like, no matter how good they are on a recording, it's like, you can do a lot of stuff with this. You can retake it as many times as you need.
yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't really tell me how good a vocalist is.
Right. And I think that's why people enjoy watching Nightwish videos live, because you're getting good guitar playing. Because you would know if he screwed up because it's the only guitar that you're hearing. You're getting great bass playing. Like Chris even mentioned Marco's bass in that song and in the song and before this too, like just how good his tone is, and he plays and sings at the same time, and if you watch his fingers, some of those runs he's doing are crazy. And then the drumming is fantastic as well, and then obviously Thomas and his playing of like 5 instruments at once on his like multiple keyboards, and then of course the vocal stuff by whoever the vocalist is. And so it's watching a Nightwish reaction is like you're getting the best of everything, and you really get to see the technical prowess, but also just like someone who's good at their craft and done it long enough that, like you said in the first video, it seems effortless to all these people, and they can just have fun while they're doing it. And in this song in particular, Tarja is having fun the whole time. Like you see her smiling and stuff. Generally, when they're performing, she is much more serious. And I feel like earlier on in their career, they were just all super serious the whole time. And then they started having more and more fun. And in this show in particular, even though she didn't know it was her last show with them and that her entire world was changing in like an hour and a half after this. But like she just the whole time is having like a ball, and you can see it. And it at the end, after it's over and they take their bows and stuff, it's like really sad, because there's also a documentary on that too of them explaining like what's going on in a little bit of the situation, but most of it didn't come out till after the fact. But it's like really like,
So not to get like too deep into why they split up, but it was more internal drama. It wasn't like her performances they wanted to change.
No, it was
right?
basically that they were accusing her of being like kind of a selfish diva.
Okay.
Basically. And then she basically was saying like, no one ever said anything to me about that. Like no one ever said anything. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
Happened to me once.
but I will oh, you're too much of a drama queen, Chris. But I
mean, that's what happened to Pete Best.
I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people.
You know, someone doesn't fit in with the band.
Yeah, it's
Of
tough.
course, they're not going to tell them.
But I mean, the thing is,
too late, you know?
she had been in the band for over a decade at that point. You know, I mean, like, but I will say, some very good stuff came from that. In that Tarja went on in her solo career. I think she's bigger than she was even with Nightwish. She is
good for her.
huge, and she after she left Nightwish, she went and did a bunch of classical performances. She did a very famous performance of some Handel. the classical composer. She did a piece with him, with an orchestra or a choir, I think, and then a pianist and her.
Known for his lyrics.
Was he?
They didn't have words, right?
Sure they did.
Just knocking them out of the park.
Right?
Oh, okay. All right, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure that the language existed when classical music was being written. So anyway,
Beethoven doesn't have lyrics.
But anyway, she did a bunch of like classical performances, and you can buy those on like DVD and stuff, and those were like sold really well. And she used the profits from that to hire musicians to be in her own metal band. And she went and I bought her first album, and it's phenomenal. Cody, we've been talking about concept albums. She has her first album is a concept album that goes through like multiple phases of like a theatrical stage show, and like each act is like differently themed, but they all fit together in terms of one story, kind of like coming together. It's a fantastic album, and she has a lot of songs that don't have guitar and stuff because it's just her. So she can have a song that's just this really cool ballad with no metal parts in it at all for 6 minutes, and then the next track is like a balls to the wall metal song with her singing on it, and then the next track is whatever a piano and her singing, right? So she has a lot. Her music is very versatile in that regard, and very varied. And then obviously Nightwish got Annette and wrote two of the greatest albums of all time, and then Floored is where they're at now, and she is just killing it in the band, even though Marco left, which really was bad because Marco left, and Nightwish has to be a tough band to be in because it takes Thomas like 4 or 5 years to write the next album. And I could see if you were in a band and you wanted to be in a band and perform in a band, and you had to wait 4 years to perform in a band again, like that would be kind of frustrating and tough.
I suppose, yeah.
And they do tour.
You do your solo projects. You don't have to.
Right, and he's been doing that, but I think something happened. I don't even know what it was, but something happened. Drama. All
he got a letter.
He didn't get a letter. He left. He didn't get a letter. But I will say, yesterday when I was getting ready to do these videos, I was watching a lot of Nightwish videos to like prepare for this and to write my list. And I watched several videos that I'd never seen before, including one from 3 months ago where Tarja was performing Phantom of the Opera at her own show with her band. Mm-hmm. And Marco was performing in the same city that night, and she invited him to the show, and he came out on stage and performed the song with her, and it was the first time they'd sung together in 18 years.
Wow.
And I was watching the video, and it literally made me cry watching it, because I was like, these people were they were in such a bad place 18 years ago that they couldn't even look at each other. And it was this very sad story, and both went on to do great things. And now here they are 18 years later, and it's the first time they were ever together since then. And they performed together, and they got together either after the show or earlier in the day, probably earlier in the day, to like actually meet and talk about things and stuff. And
wow.
Yeah, and Floor has been a huge fan of Tarja her whole career, and she has done videos since she joined Nightwish with Tarja, with Annette. She does stuff with people all the time. She has her own YouTube channel. She's been working on her own solo material. She's going to release her own solo album sometime in the probably next year, I would guess. So
I'm starting to think that Tomas is the diva in the group.
I know it might sound like that, but there's a lot to it. Tomas, maybe you could tell from the music and stuff, but like he is so involved in his work, and it like means so much to him when he's performing. You can just see it on his face and the way he is. Like he's literally so into the music that like he's just immersed in it, and that's the way he gets when he's writing and stuff, and he's just very one-track minded about the stuff. Yeah. But honestly, like their three albums that I consider to be 10 out of 10s are like some of the greatest stuff I've ever heard ever. So like, whatever his process is that he needs to do to write music, I'm all there for it. And their other albums are like 8s and 9s too. I'm not saying any of their other albums are terrible or anything like that.
Except their first one.
Their first album is pretty bad, and Thomas sings on it, and it's horrendous. It's like really bad. That's why he's never sang on Nightwish songs since the 1993 when they recorded it or whatever.
That's great.
But so anyway, I guess you guys all liked that. You thought it was way better than any other version of the song you've ever heard. I definitely heard you all say that specifically to me.
I don't know how many other versions of this song I've heard. I feel like this exists in something that I like, but I can't think of what it is. Somebody does one, and I've
only heard it from I've only seen the 50s movie, so I've only heard it from that.
Yeah, I don't know how often this comes up.
But I thought it wasn't in the 50s movie though, I thought.
Oh, this song? Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I think this whole version of this was from like 1984.
Yeah.
Really?
When Sarah Brightman, when they made the stage play of it. Because this is from the stage play.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I was shocked about that too when I started looking into it.
I was going to say there's a Pink Floyd song I was thinking of that sounds very similar, but that would have predated this.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's the 1930s like classic horror movie, the original black and white Phantom of the Opera. Where with the famous face when he takes it off and his face is like a skeleton underneath or whatever, a very famous like prosthetic makeup thing.
One of the first sound films.
Yeah. Awesome. All that stuff's cool. All right. So everybody, Nightwish Army, thanks for listening to me ramble for so long and for letting us listen to this song with you. Thank you so much. Up next, if we decide to do some more in a future recording, would be Romanticide, which I'm very excited for, and then another Tarja song from this same concert, Sleeping Sun, and then, unless you guys have a better thing, I really wanted to do Creek Mary's Blood, but I don't know if Audrey could handle that, because there might be may or may not be some cultural appropriation happening there, and I don't want to make Audrey upset. And so I decided to just go with Sleeping Sun instead of Creek Mary's Blood, even though John Two Hawks is so badass. But whatever, we're not going to bring that up.
John Two Hawks.
Yeah, we're not going to bring him up. Don't look him up online, please. I did a little controversial there. And then Poet and the Pendulum, which would be the big one we're kind of trying to get to. And then eventually, if you guys want to do a bunch more of these, we can get to the point where we would react to The Greatest Show on Earth, which is a 20-plus minute song that they do to end their final show on their last DVD that they recorded, Showtime Store or Vehicle of Spirit. They recorded it at Wembley. And out at the Tempura show, actually, an outdoor venue where they have a 20-minute thing. It's a 20-minute. It's giant and epic, and it features. You would love it, Chris. There's a whole section in this song that's like high-lung, with breathing like the kind of crap like that, and they do like a bunch of like percussion stuff, and the whole thing. There's a whole section that's just like that. It's very badass and very cool, and the lighting is spectacular. And then it goes back into the metal and all this, and there's like literal fireworks and everything. It's very cool, and we would eventually maybe end up doing that as a last thing if we would decide we want to. So
cool.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will all see you next time. Make sure you stick around the channel for the Yesterwind reaction. And if it's already out, if it's after the 20th of September, check that out. It's already up on the channel. And enjoy all of those and any of future and past Nightwish videos. Thank you very much, and we will see you all next time.